one of the biggest things destroying your timing on the forehand is the way you use your chest. I see this all the time where the chest lags behind the swing. Now, everyone's familiar with wrist lag, and you're like, oh, wrist lag is really good. That makes your swing more dynamic, and that's true. But chest lag is not the same way. So you will get more power in some sense if you let your chest go first, let the arm lag here, and then let it whip through. But it's not worth the control that you lose. What we want instead is, no matter how far you're winding up back here, as you drive, you make this attached. You don't let the arm lag behind the torso as you drive forward. Instead, you just imagine these are attached and you force the arm to come forward with your trunk as you rotate. Makes the whole swing a whole lot smaller, a whole lot easier to time. So I'll try to show those here. When we let the chest lag behind, it's very difficult for the arm to actually catch up to the contact point. Now that one I tried really, really hard with my eyes and stuff to time it right, but that timing window is much more difficult to hit, as opposed to if I force the arm to go forward with the chest, I don't get quite as much elasticity there, but now I have perfect command over where the racket head is ending up in space. And I could even play this on one foot without moving, and I still know where the racket head is going to be because I have such good command over the upper body here. So in this video, we're going to talk about timing, control, and power. Using the chest properly gives you better timing. We're going to talk about that. It allows you to put the racket on the ball much easier. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about why, paradoxically, even though that stretch release does produce power, your brain is not going to be willing to recruit this as aggressively unless you have control. And so you actually end up hitting harder using your chest more conservatively. So let's talk timing first. When you take your arm and when you attach it to your chest, what happens is you have one less degree of freedom that you have to time. So if I let this go back, I have to make sure I time this stretch reflex to go through the ball right at the contact point. So that is an extra element that I have to make sure comes through on time. But when you attach it instead, now it's extremely simple to time this part of the swing. I just turn and the racket is right there. So what this lets us do then is now when I loosen up this part of the arm, I have assistance from this part of my swing. Whereas if I loosen this up and I loosen this up together, that's where it gets almost impossible to get the ball and the racket to actually meet coherently in the air, because it's just, there's not enough control through here. And so by locking this together, what it lets you do is lets you make that part of your swing so compact that you can connect your trunk almost directly into your hand and wrist. And then with this very, very small motion, you can put the racket through basically the exact spot in space that you want to put it through. So next we'll talk about control. Now attaching this here, not letting it get stuck back here, really improves your ability to put the racket face through different points in space. So if I let this go back, it is much more difficult to coordinate it to actually get right there where the ball was. Whereas if I don't let it go back, now even if I'm out of position, it's very easy for me to put racket on ball. Even if I don't really move, even if I accidentally jam myself, it's very easy for me to put racket on ball because there's so much less moving action, there's so much less freedom within here. And so what I want to do is engage the chest early. Even if I have an aggressive prep where I have it stretched in the back, during this early part of the swing, instead of keeping it back there, that chest is engaged so that by the time I get to here, either the arm is exactly where it started or it's even caught up to the trunk a little bit, and then that pressing action, that motion that finishes the swing, that occurs only at that very end when the trunk starts to slow down, rather than lagging and then having that pressing action need to take place from all the way back here through the contact point. Instead of doing that, we keep the arm together, and then that pressing action that finishes the swing is very, very easy to control because it's so short. Now last we'll talk about power, and biomechanically, you do get more power from this kind of dynamic stretch reflex than you get from attaching these together. The chest is still engaged in pressing even when they're attached, but that kind of stretch reflex you get, like the thing that we get on the shoulder on the serve, for example, you don't get that. So when I use that stretch reflex, okay, the ball does go really, really fast. So that is, it's a power source you might be tempted to use. Okay, here's the problem. Everything we talked about before, the control and timing price that you pay isn't worth it. So if I now go to this ball and now I'm trying to make the ball, well, all of a sudden you just notice I'm not getting more power when I allow myself to lag. And the reason is, now that I'm actually trying to hit the ball in the court, my brain is telling me, hey, you can't swing that fast, because if you do, you're not going to be able to control where that release unwinds. And this is why, paradoxically, if I just attach the arm to the chest, which, you know, in a vacuum seems like I would get less power, but now, as I start to incorporate my trunk and twist off my hips, all of a sudden, because the swing is more compact through the chest, I can actually hit that same contact point while engaging the big, strong muscles of the body. Oh, a little too tight. There we go.